Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a look at a deeply familiar historical and biblical narrative, but we're going to flip the script and view it from a totally unseen perspective. We've all heard the stories focusing on the human actors on the ground, right? But if you actually dig into the source texts, they point to this massive, invisible audience watching every single second of it unfold.
So think about this for a second. What exactly were the angels doing during the crucifixion? By shifting our focus away from the people and up to those celestial witnesses, the biblical texts paint a picture of just unimaginable tension. But to really wrap our heads around this, we kind of need to reset our basic understanding of who is actually watching this event. Because right off the bat, we've got to shatter a major cultural myth. Seriously, forget the chubby little babies with wings you see on holiday cards. According to the source texts, like Hebrews and the prophet Isaiah, angels are formidable, highly intelligent, fiercely loyal spiritual warriors. We're talking about beings whose sheer presence caused seasoned, battle-hardened soldiers to literally collapse in terror.
All right, Section 1, the true power of angels.
To really grasp their restraint later on, you have to understand the kind of historical power we're dealing with here. These beings were VIP witnesses to the timeline of the universe. The book of Job talks about them singing at the very dawn of creation. They spent millennia worshiping the Creator in absolute glory. So just imagine their absolute shock when that same Creator shows up as a fragile human baby in a manger in Bethlehem. For 33 years, they watched him walk the earth, totally limiting his infinite power to live as a mortal. But I promise you, nothing could have prepared them for what was coming next.
Section 2, the agony of Gethsemane. Which brings us to this massive emotional shift on the night before the crucifixion in a garden called Gethsemane. The text describes Jesus in such intense medical agony here that he experiences hematidrosis, literally sweating drops of blood from the extreme stress. Now, out of the millions of angels in heaven who would have instantly rushed to his aid, the text notes this wild paradox. Exactly one. Just one single angel was permitted to come down. And get this, the angel wasn't sent to rescue him. It was just to strengthen him so he could keep walking toward his own impending death.
The whole crux of this moment is perfectly captured right here in Matthew. When Jesus prays, "Not as I will, but as you will," it suddenly dawns on the heavenly host. This wasn't a time for some explosive display of celestial power. This was a display of ultimate, sacrificial submission. It was a kind of restraint and love that they had literally never witnessed before.
Moving to Section 3, the silence of heaven.
This phase, covering the violent arrest, brilliantly shows the tension. Think about their historical capability for a second. These are the same beings who, throughout the ancient texts, shut the mouths of hungry lions, destroyed entire invading armies in a single night, and snapped prison doors like twigs. And yet, matched up against that immense power is Jesus' explicit command, total agonizing inaction. They were commanded to completely stand down so the scriptures could be fulfilled.
To put that into perspective, look at the sheer magnitude of the force Jesus claimed he could summon right then and there. 12 Roman legions. That equates to over 70,000 angelic warriors. Just picture that in your mind for a second. An elite celestial army, fully armed, totally ready to intervene, forced to stand by and watch in heavy, terrifying silence as their creator is bound in ropes and dragged away. Friday morning is just a swift, brutal progression. The angels watched in absolute silence through the sham trial before Pilate. They watched humanity actually choose to free a convicted murderer over their innocent creator. They stood completely paralyzed by command during the horrific scourging, the mocking, and as Jesus carried that heavy wooden beam down the Via Dolorosa. Every single whip strike, every spit, every insult met with absolute commanded silence from the heavens. Section 4, the darkest 3 hours. We're now at the absolute climax of the narrative at Golgotha, where the physical and spiritual weight of the cross reaches its absolute peak. The sensory details the source texts describe are just brutal, The sound of the hammer, the iron nails piercing flesh. The angels, who are very accustomed to dispensing swift divine justice, hear the agonizing cries of the Son of God. Yet, in the middle of this unimaginable pain, his first words on the cross are an unprecedented display of mercy toward the guys literally executing him. "Father, forgive them." The angels had seen God's justice before, absolutely. But this level of radical grace, that was entirely new. But the physical pain wasn't even the climax. According to the text, For exactly 3 hours, right in the middle of the day, a supernatural pitch-black darkness completely covered the land. And to be clear, this wasn't just a solar eclipse. The texts describe it as a physical manifestation of a spiritual fracture. This was the moment it claims the Father turned away, taking the weight of the entire world's sins and placing it squarely onto the Son. Which brings us to what honestly has to be the most confusing and gut-wrenching moment for that celestial audience. Hearing Jesus cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Think about it. For all of eternity, the Father and Son had existed in perfect, unbroken unity. And now, for the very first time ever, the angels are watching that eternal bond fracture under the sheer weight of human sin. It was a moment of total cosmic isolation.
And then the silence is finally broken by a single Greek word, tetelestai. Now, we usually translate this to "it is finished," but in the ancient world, it was actually a specific accounting term that meant a debt has been paid in full. With that final declaration, Jesus gave up his spirit, and the angels instantly understood that the immense, completely insurmountable debt of human sin had just been fully settled.
The immediate aftermath was pure, unadulterated chaos. The earth violently shook, rocks split wide open. But the biggest symbol of all? That 60-foot incredibly thick veil in the temple, the one that literally separated humanity from the presence of God, was torn completely in two from top to bottom. The barrier was gone. The impact of all this was so undeniable that even the hardened Roman executioner standing guard was moved to say, truly this was the Son of God.
Section 5. The Empty Tomb.
After that chaotic climax, the narrative tone shifts drastically. Think about the tension of this specific day. Saturday had to be the heaviest, quietest day in heaven. The Creator's physical body is lying lifeless in a cold, sealed stone tomb, guarded by elite Roman soldiers. The celestial beings, who just witnessed the ultimate sacrifice, are now waiting in absolute suspense, just waiting for their next orders.
And then, Sunday morning hits. After days of just agonizing restraint and explosive release, an angel comes down with the brightness of lightning, literally terrifying those hardened Roman guards into unconsciousness. But check out this brilliant paradox in the narrative. The angel effortlessly rolls away the massive stone and just sits on it, not to let Jesus out, because the text claims he was already resurrected, but to let the human witnesses in.
And the angels finally get to break their long silence. When the grieving women arrive at the tomb, the celestial warriors get to deliver what is easily the most victorious message in the text. He is not here. He has risen. That excruciating wait was completely over. Death had been defeated, and they got to be the very first heralds of this totally unprecedented news.
Section 6. The Victory and Commission.
This brings us to the final phase of this incredible timeline. Over the next 40 days, the angels watched as Jesus patiently, methodically proved his resurrection. He didn't just show up as a ghost. The text details him eating with his followers, even inviting a doubting Thomas to literally touch the physical scars of the crucifixion. He proved it to over 500 people, completely transforming their sheer terror into this bold, worldwide mission known as the Great Commission, telling them to take this message to the very ends of the earth. We've unpacked a ton of information today, looking at this ancient text through a radically different, kind of mind-blowing lens. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If these immensely powerful celestial beings, who literally witnessed the dawn of creation, stood by and marveled in absolute commanded silence at the sheer weight and cost of this sacrifice, how should we view it today? Thanks so much for exploring this with me. Keep analyzing, keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.